the strangest feeling to know what to believe in.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our bridging course, Gemath and Mathematics. We are Group 3. By the way, my name is Sarah and Today we will discuss deferred annuity. And at the end of this video, we will learn the definition, uses, and computation of present and future value. Let us answer the question, what is deferred annuity? A deferred annuity is an insurance contract that promises to pay the annuity owner either a lump sum or regular income at some future date. People frequently avoid deferred annuity to supplement Social Security benefit and other income when they retire. The most common example of a deferred annuity is a retirement fund, where the investor is not yet ready to retire. They defer their withdrawal or payments until they retire. In the meantime, the fund earns interest. The fund continues to earn interest as the investor withdraws money from the fund. Special consideration. A deferred annuity is considered a long-term investment because it is less liquid. Most annuity contracts put strict limits on withdrawal, such as allowing just one per year. Withdrawals may also be subject to surrender fees charged from the insurer. In addition, if the account holder is under age 59 and a half, they will generally face a 10% tax penalty on the amount of the withdrawal. That's on the top of the income tax they have paid on their withdrawal. Prospective buyers should also be aware that annuity often have high fees compared with other types of retirement investment. Fees can also vary widely from one insurance company to another, so it pays to shop around.
Personal risk is a fixed annuity. A fixed rate annuity is an insurance contract that guarantees the buyer a fixed interest rate on their contribution for a specific period. Fixed annuities are good investment for those interested in premium protection, income for life, and low risk. A fixed annuity also does not offer any inflation protection, which may be considered a disadvantage to some. Looking at the case study, we can see the difference when we invest in fixed annuity and CD, or certificate of deposit. The annuity offers a higher interest rate and one-time tax charge upon withdrawals with CD taxes yearly and lower interest rate. The best example of fixed annuity is the Peso Fund in SSS and MP3 savings in Pag-ibig. We will not dig deeper into this because that is a separate discussion. Comparing fixed annuity to others, it has lower risk and lower returns. Second is variable annuity. A variable annuity is a type of annuity whose value is tied to the performance of the investment portfolio. Payment for variable annuities can increase if the portfolio performs well and decrease if it loses money. Although variable annuities carry the potential of higher returns than fixed annuities, they don't offer a guaranteed payout. When you purchase a variable annuity, the money you pay is allocated to an investment portfolio. You will have several options for investing the fund in the portfolio. These options or sub-accounts can include stock, bonds, money market funds, stable income value, mutual funds, and other investments. For example, if you invest a portfolio worth 100,000 based on the market index, after 5 years, the market price increased and became 200,000. The difference between the initial and the amount after tax will be your earnings. Third and last is index annuity. An index annuity, also known as fixed index or equity index annuity, features income payment tied to a stock index, such as S&P and 500. Index annuity perform well when the financial markets perform well. People often refer to index annuities as hybrid, as fixed and variable annuities. An index annuity is a financial contract between you and an insurance company. It features both characteristics of both fixed and variable annuities. It is the combination of fixed and variable annuity. The best example of this is the trending VUL or Variable Universal Life, which we can discuss with your licensed financial advisor. The period when the investor is paying into the annuity is known as the accumulation phase or saving phase. Once the investor elects to start receiving income, the payout phase or income phase begins. Many deferred annuities are structured to provide income to the rest of the owner's life and sometimes for their spouse's life as well.
Calculating present and future value of annuities. First, distinguish between an ordinary annuity and an annuity due annuities. In the sense of word, break down into two basic types: ordinary annuities and annuities due. An ordinary annuity makes or requires payment at the end of each period. For example, bonds generally pay interest at the end of every 6 months. With an annuity due, by contrast, payments come at the beginning of each period. Rent, which landlords typically require at the beginning of each month, is a common example. The formula for the present value of an ordinary annuity as opposed to an annuity due is below. An ordinary annuity pays interest at the end of a particular period rather than at the beginning, as is the case with an annuity due. You can calculate the present or future value for an ordinary annuity or an annuity due using the following formulas. Future value is a measure of how much a series of regular payments will be worth at some point in the future, given a specified interest rate. So, for example, if you plan to invest a certain amount each month or year, it will tell you how much you'll have accumulated as of a future date. If you are making regular payments on a loan, the future value is useful in determining the total cost of the loan. Consider, for example, a series of $5,000 payments made at the regular intervals. This example is an ordinary annuity because the payments are made at the end of each period. Because of the time value of money, the concept that any given sum is worth more now than it will be in the future because it can be invested in the meantime. The first 1,000 payment is worth more than the second, and so on. So, let's assume that you invest $1,000 every year for the next 5 years at 5% interest. Below is how much you would have at the end of the 5 years. The future value of the first 1,000 payment is $1,215.51. The second payment is $1,157.63. The third payment is $1,102.50. The fourth payment is $1,050. And as you can see, the last payment did not earn any interest because the last $1,000 completes the 5-year agreement, hence the reason why it did not make any interest. Rather than calculating each payment individually and then adding them all up, however, you can use the following formula which will tell you how much money you'd have in the end. Future value of an ordinary annuity equals C times 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 over I, where C equals cash flow per period, I equals interest rate, and n equals number of payments. Let's substitute. Future value of an ordinary annuity equals 1,000, that's the cash flow per period, times 1 plus 0.05 for the 5% interest rate to the power of 5 because you're investing for 5 years, minus 1 over 0.05, again, the interest rate. 1,000 times 5.53 equals 5,525.63. Note that the 1 cent difference in these results, 5,525.64 versus 5,525.63, is due to rounding in the first calculation.
In contrast to the future value calculation, a present value or PV calculation tells you how much money would be required. Now, to produce a series of payments in the future, again, assuming a set interest rate, using the same example of 5 $1,000 payments made to 5 years. Here is how to present a value calculation would look. It shows that $4,329.58 invested at 5% interest would be sufficient to produce those 5 $1,000 payments. Like what Miss Judy said earlier, because of the time value of money, money received today is worth more than the same amount of money in the future because it can be invested in the meantime. By the same logic, $5,000 received today is worth more than the same amount spread over a 5 annual installment of $1,000 each. Just like this example, the present value of $5,000 spread over 5 annual installment is the only $4,329.48, whereas the present value of the $5,000 received today is $4,761.90. This is the applicable formula for present value on an ordinary annuity. Equals C times 1 minus 1 plus I to the power of negative n over I. Note that 1 plus I is inside a parenthesis. If we plug the same numbers as above into the equation, here is the result. For present value equals 1,000 times 1 minus open parenthesis plus 0.05 close parenthesis to the power of negative 5 over 0.05. 1,000 times 4.33, we got the 4.33 from the number inside the brackets, and the result is $4,329.48. An annuity due, you may recall, differs from an ordinary annuity in that the annuity dues payments are made at the beginning rather than the end of each period. To account for payments occurring at the beginning of each period requires a slight modification to the formula used to calculate the further value of an ordinary annuity, and the result is higher value as shown below. The reason the value are higher is that payments made at the beginning of the period have more time to earn interest. For example, if the $1,000 was invested on January 1 rather than January 31, it would have an additional month to grow.
The formula for the future value of an annuity due is as follows. FB annuity due is equal to the quotient of 1 plus I raised to the power of n minus 1 divided by I, and multiply the answer to the sum of 1 plus I. Here we use the same numbers as in our previous examples. C stands for cash flow, which is $1,000. I stands for interest, which is 0.05, because we need to transpose it into decimals, and N is for the payment terms, which is 5 years. Let us plug in the given number into the formula. It will become like this. FB annuity due is equal to $1,000 for cash multiplied to the answer of 1 plus 0.05 interest rate into decimals raised to the power of 5 for payment terms minus 1, and divide it by the interest in decimals 0.05 and multiply the answer to the sum of 1 plus 0.05 interest rate into decimals. Let us use the rule of PEMDAS in solving the problem. Solve the parentheses first, and we come up to the value of FB annuity due is equal to $1,000 multiplied by 5.53 multiplied 1.05, and our present value for an annuity due is $5,801.91. Again, please note that the 1 cent difference in these results of $5,801.92 versus $5,801.91 is due to the rounding of the first calculation. Alright, let us now calculate the present value for an annuity due. Similarly, the formula for calculating the present value of an annuity due takes into account the fact that payments are made in the beginning rather than the end of each period. For example, you could use this formula to calculate the present value of your future rent payments as specified to your lease. Let's say you pay $1,000 a month in rent. Below, you can see what the next 5 months would cost you in terms of present value, assuming you keep your money in an account earning 5% interest. Calculating each month will be like this. We need to divide the value of cash to the sum of 1 plus 0.5 interest rate in decimals and raised to the power of payment terms. As we can see, the value for each month changed because of the payment terms. After we get the value for each month, we need to sum up, and our present value of an annuity due is $4,545.95. Basically, for us to get the $5,000 after 5 months with the interest of 5%, we need to invest $4,545.95. Instead of using the manual computation, this is the formula for calculating the present value of an annuity due. PB annuity due is equal to C multiplied to the answer of 1 minus the sum of 1 plus I raised to the power of n divided by I multiply the answer to sum of 1 plus I. Let us plug in the given number into the formula. It will become like this. Present value of an annuity due is equal to $1,000 for cash multiplied to the answer of 1 minus the sum of 1 plus 0.5 interest rate raised to the power of 5 for payment terms, and divide the interest in decimals 0.05 and multiply the answer to the sum of 1 plus 0.05 interest rate in decimals. Again, solve for the equation first for parentheses, and it will be $1,000 multiplied by 4.33 multiplied 1.05, and the answer for our present value and for an annuity due is $4,545.95, same on the manual computation. And it's up to you guys which one do you prefer to use. For formulas, will make it possible and relatively easy if you don't mind the math to determine the present or future value, or either an ordinary annuity or an annuity due. The financial calculator that you can find online may also help. Also, you can use this with get the correct inputs. However, the bottom line here is we need to know how to solve it by heart.
Harvesting